Welcome, welcome to the Man Football Fan Podcast, The Decision 2026. I am your host, Philip Arthur Schultz, currently known as Philosophy. I'm here with From Dog Billionaire, went from a millionaire to a billionaire. I guess this is the second week in a row. And then Chris Smith 9, the deep respondent. Yeah, you want to talk about your wealth? You can do that.
More like what it costs to do anything. That's what it is.
Hey, man. You don't move to Denver. It's like It could be even more than what you're experiencing there. Where do you live again?
In the Milwaukee area. I mean, right outside Milwaukee.
Are people sad about the Bucks?
People aren't talking about the Bucks right now. That's kind of actually Buck Nation. Like when they're bad, you just kind of stop talking about them. I mean, I'm sure there's loyalists that are like buzzing about, our future, what we should be doing. But sadly, we just go quiet when they're bad and we stop attending games and stop watching them, etc.
I thought they lost by like 35 tonight to the T-Wolves, and they didn't have Anthony Edwards or Rudy Gobert.
It's not a good situation.
And Giannis played. It's not good.
No, it's not. We got to get our correspondent Matty G in here if we want to talk more Bucks. But I don't like the state of affairs there, and I know we've debated in our man chat here about what they should do, but there's no great options moving forward.
Well, we'll have to have Matty on. We can talk Bucks and the demise.
Pretty much.
I guess nobody's really talking about them. Let's start the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, hey, ton of NFL to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about the Pack, unfortunately. But I want to get your take. Just favorite game of the weekend for you guys. It was a great weekend. Tons of good games. What was your favorite?
So I'm just going to go true to what I actually watched of football. There were better games out there. But one of the games I watched that I think just speaks to playoff football was Pats Chargers, just because I think it kind of gave you the opposite effect of what you were expecting. You maybe thought like, oh, maybe they'll, be a lot of points here. Drake May has had an MVP season. Maybe Herbert's going to actually turn it on in the playoffs. And what you just saw was a defensive struggle, back and forth, low scoring game. No one could really get going. And I think there's something to appreciate about playoff football where defense, they say, wins championships. And, on top of all these games that had a lot more offense going on, you just saw two really good defenses show up and really stymie both offenses. So I think for that reason, for being more of a purist, with being like a football fan, I think it was really good football to watch. Now, if you're playing playoff fantasy football, it was a terrible game for you, like myself, who had both Pats running backs that did not score any touchdowns.
If just speaking of the defenses, if the Chargers get that fumble, it almost like could have been like a fumble pick six almost, like it bounced and the Charge or the Patriots offensive lineman jumped on it. If they get that and run it in, who knows what happens after that? Because it was then a one-score game, and I don't know, that could have really turned the tide, but it was a good play by that offensive lineman, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, what about you?
I think the best game of the weekend was Packers Bears.
But is that your favorite game though?
No, I just want to say I think that was the best game of the weekend. Like, it came down to the final play. It was like a Hail Mary-ish type play. The scoring in the fourth quarter, like it was a really good game. I think my favorite game though was 49ers beating the Eagles. I gave the 49ers no chance last week on the podcast. I didn't think their defense was good enough. And of course, George Kittle goes out. It makes it even harder for that team. And it was just incredible to see them hang in there on the road and make Jalen Hurts look like the quarterback he's been all year, which is not great. I expected the Eagles to turn it around and really, really like gear it up for the playoffs. But it was the most surprising result for me was the 49ers going into Philly and winning with really nothing on their team. There's so many injuries. It just shows that Kyle Shanahan's probably the best coach in the NFL.
And it's just funny. The Eagles, that was like a microcosm of their season. And I think we just expected, they're at home. They're not going to take the 49ers lightly. And they just couldn't actually flip the switch. And they had so many key drops in the fourth. It was painful. You could like feel it, in the stadium.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and shout out to Demarcus Robinson, man, for the 49ers. I mean, someone had to step up with Pierce all out and Kittle going out. 6 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, it's incredible.
yeah, for me, my favorite, and again, I watched a lot of Eagles, 49ers, a lot of Patriots, Chargers. I think for me, though, it was the Panthers, Rams. And I just think it's because we all just thought the Rams are going to roll. And I think we talked about if we were betting on these games, we would have maybe like picked the Panthers to like beat the spread, which is 10.5, just because this is an NFL game, playoffs on the road. But man, the Panthers actually took the lead, I think, with what? Is it 2 minutes left, 2.5 minutes left in the game? Um, and man, they came to play. And Bryce Young made, not every throw, but a lot of good throws. And Jalen Coker, he just goes off. Credit to the Deutschland for drafting him. It was just, yeah, it's fun to watch him. And I'm excited for them because I think they just needed a game like that, even though they didn't win. Because, if you know their head coach's story, Dave Canales, it's a really interesting story. If you get a chance to check it out, look at it. Well, let's move on to something more trivial before we get to the games. I just was playing a card game tonight, so I wanted to ask you guys, what's the last card game that you played? And you're in Wisconsin, so you play card games. That's just what we do.
Well, I work with kids, so I play card games all the time, Phil. We play so many different types of Uno. If you didn't know, there are, I think I've talked about this before on the pod, plugging Uno, but there's Uno No Mercy. If you've never played, it's quite the wild game, like plus tens and wild, reverse skip cards, whatever. So quite the game. And yeah, Uno is pretty awesome. Now, I don't think that's the question you're really getting at, because Uno is like can be played everywhere. I'll just plug like Wisconsin card game I played more recent, like super recently, but probably cribbage is something I played. Hard to get into like euchre or sheepshead. I'd love to play those games. It's hard to find people that play them, frankly.
People. Yeah.
Those are two of my favorites that I've played on different sides of the state. If you go to the west side of the state, or probably more Chris's part of the state, like Madison area over, they play euchre usually. If you go more towards Milwaukee, they play sheepshead more often. So.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the last card game I played was euchre at the Smith Family Christmas. It's a staple. Cribbage, been learning cribbage.
Learning cribbage, love it.
Yeah, we're getting there. I thought there was a pun with this question about last card game about just like I was thinking like wild card weekend. I don't know if this is a play on words, but I did watch and play a lot of wild card fantasy football.
That's my subconscious, obviously. Would you consider yourself an aggressive euchre player? 1 to 10 scale. Aggression.
7 aggressive. Yeah, you have to be to separate in that game. Otherwise, you just rely on the cards.
Yeah, not a good strategy.
Yeah, if you really want to survive, you really have to be there. And I think that brings us to our first ad. Tell us about this group project survivor kind of thing that we've been, I think experiencing as a crew here.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced this in life, in school, at work, on the pod. Group project survivor is for anyone who's ever been in a group where one person disappears and somehow still gets the credit. You know the guy. First meeting, lots of ideas, then he's gone. The app tracks who actually did the work and who said, "Let me know how I can help." It's too true. Which let's be honest, it means they're not helping at all. It even drafts polite emails that sound friendly but carry just enough resentment. Problem is, once you see the data, you can't unsee it. Now you're watching people talk, calculating percentages in your head. Oh, you did that part? Really? Because the app says otherwise. You don't say it, but you think it. And now you're irritated for the rest of the day. Group project survivor, because somebody has to notice.
Yeah, this is really where you need like Larry David, just to be like to kind of call it out. He has the thoughts, but he has to
Yeah.
express them because he
Well,
can't help it.
Chris, you went through a master's program. Phil, have you gone to grad school for something? Well,
Yeah,
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 pastor, right? Okay, so
yeah.
I mean, like you guys have done group projects like at a higher level, right?
I didn't really have to do one in my school
Okay,
when I was
you're
at master's level, but
okay, interesting. Because I don't know if you had this experience, Chris, but I felt when you got to grad school, like no one actually wanted to do a group project at that point. It was like people were beyond like pretending, and it was a lot of this, like just sending emails to sound like you're engaged, and
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It's the let me know how I can help. It's so good.
I'm considering because my students just had a group project. I'm considering making them rate their partners,
Oh
and
man,
it's like that like helps dictate the grade for them. I haven't created it yet, but I think I'm gonna.
One suggestion for future podcast reads. You guys got to mute your mics. I just
I know, man.
couldn't do
I'm
it.
sorry, I lost it. I didn't actually look at the ad at all. All I saw is group project survivor. That's it. So,
oh man,
yeah.
It's so good and so
right over
true.
here.
Well, hey, let's talk about a team that doesn't know how to survive games. They just lose games that they should win. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, a lot of emotions in the game. I guess if you're to give like a couple sentences, like what was your reaction? Either happening or at the end.
I mean, so many metaphors you could use. I mean, like the simple like watching it, like something's gonna crash, and it's like kind of watching a child on a bike, knowing like they don't know how to ride the bike, and you're like they're gonna crash, they're gonna fall eventually. It's just a matter of when, and you're just watching them go and go, and it's just like wait, like they're teetering. Maybe they'll hang in there. No, I think they're gonna fall, and just watching them deteriorate. And I use even a child because I just think this Packers roster, like they have not earned kind of even just the credibility as a team to have a lot of confidence in this roster right now, and with all the guys they had out, I think there's just a lot of inexperience on the field, and it showed. I mean, Matty G put in our chat like that missed field goal, and maybe this is just like my own Packer insecurities. Like when we missed that 55 yards at the end of the half, and Ben Johnson very tactfully iced McManus, and of course he makes it the first try, misses the second. You could just tell, like right here, like yep, that 3 points is going to matter at some point in this game, and right there, like there's just a small momentum shift of how we managed our time, how we missed that kick, and here we go into the second half at an 18-point lead when it probably should have been more. So we needed every single point in that game, and so yeah, just raw reaction of like you just kind of knew, in the back of your head, at least I did, like this isn't gonna stick, right? It's just very painful.
Yeah, I would say I had sort of a different reaction. I remember Gardner sending that text at halftime saying like, oh, is that kick going to matter? He missed it. And I'm thinking, no. Honestly, even as a Packer fan that's been hurt a million times in my life, we played way too well in that first half for me to even have a thought in my head that the Bears would come back. And TJ Edwards went out, which was like, okay, we're going to continue to exploit the middle of their defense. And then the second half happened. And then here's the thing, like we righted the ship. Matthew Golden scored a touchdown with 6 minutes to go. And again, I honestly thought game over. Like there was not a chance the Bears were going to come back. And I believe that next drive is the one that Williams had that huge fourth down conversion.
Yeah, Roman Dunze, 4th and 8.
Yep. And then as soon as we got the ball back, that's when it hit me. Like, yep, we're not gonna get a first down here. And I have to say it, credit to Caleb Williams and the Bears. Like to score 25 points in the fourth quarter is ridiculous. But that team, if they're anywhere within striking distance, they're gonna make it happen. So disappointing. I feel like we've read the story before. It just didn't feel like to me that it was gonna happen this time. So I got my feelings hurt.
Yeah, I think it was after the missed extra point. I just looked at the couple buddies next to me and I said, that just feels like a really important miss.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I couldn't explain why at the time. And honestly, if we stop them in the fourth and eighth there, we probably, probably run out the clock. What's interesting is that it was either the drive where Goldman got the touchdown or it was the drive after. These guys just kept going out of bounds with the ball. And part of it was just they were like let out of bounds. It wasn't like necessarily bad play management by them or anything like that. But it was one of these things where it was like, oh man, like we're just not doing those little things to win the game. And at the end, I just was like, I'm not really shocked we lost the game. As much as I was like, Chris, I felt really good after the first half, even with the miss. And it just shows, man, that like we are Jekyll Hyde. And we've lost like 4 or 5 games like this year. And yeah, it's hard to kind of understand it, I think a little bit. And obviously disappointing. Obviously disappointing. So I think that just brings us to our head coach, Matt LaFleur. I title this Friend or Foe. Should he stay or should he go now? What are your guys' opinions on that?
Well, I'll say what I want as a fan, and then I'll tell you what I think will happen. You have this labeled friend or foe, and it's painful to say it, but as a fan, I'm going to call him a foe right now. I think initially when we were texting about this, you were both, I think, on the ends of like, okay, we're done. This is our tipping point. And my immediate reaction, I was like, okay, no, knee jerk, don't want to go there. I'm a LaFleur believer here. He's done great things for organization, great winning percentage. You're like, okay, we got to maybe just let this settle and see where we go from here. Every day I sit with this. I listen to local Packer talk radio. Just look at posts online, assess, how I feel about this, and it just gets worse and worse and worse the more you let this digest and sink in. And then you look at the last 4 years. I think I even messaged you guys tonight. It's even the last 3 years with Love. I mean, he's it's not good. It's only a few games above 500 total. And so I think that's not encouraging by any means for the future of what he can do for us. And I think you're always looking forward in the NFL. Yeah, 30, 24 and 1 with Love. Nothing really super impressive. I know this winning percentage looks really great if you stack them up with every single coach, and even in history and whatnot. At the end of the day, and part of me is even thinking that it's just maybe not the right situation. Like maybe LaFleur would, flourish in a better environment. But I do think Packer Nation, and looking at the politics of it, maybe I'm going too far, on this point right now, but Ed Policy being the new CEO, team president, I don't think he's going to get rid of him. He just came in 2025. I think that would look really bad on paper if he just boots LaFleur out the door here. So I think he's going to get extended, like everyone's murmuring about right now. It's painful because I think we're going to be here a year from now having the same conversation. And I think we fire him a year from now, honestly. That's my take. But it's painful. I think he's going to be with us another year.
Yeah, so my take's simple. Like, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Yeah, I think he lost his job as soon as the Packers called timeout and they got to delay a game coming out of the timeout and eventually punted, gave the ball to the Bears, and the Bears scored to win the game. Like, he's a great offensive play caller, mastermind, schemer, but he can't be a head coach and do that. So I think he sort of has to pick his lane of what he wants. So the only way that I would be okay with him coming back is if he relinquishes some of that so that he can focus on game management, clock management. He can't do it all. He can't separate that. I'm on record saying I think any coach for the Packers during his time would have made the playoffs as much as him, maybe even more, would have won the division as much as him, potentially could have went further in the playoffs. Like, it has nothing to do with talent. I think any coach can come in and continue what he's doing. They need someone that can bring them to the next level. I think it's someone that comes with sort of like that hard nose, like mentality of just like you like you're not going to mess up, and if you do, like we're going to find someone who's going to come in and do better. Like I just don't think he has that. So we talk about a guy like Harbaugh. I brought up Vrabel last year. It's like the perfect hire. Vrabel will be the perfect guy for the Packers. I don't think they need an offensive mastermind as a head coach. I think they can get a great offensive coordinator to come into the system and work with this team. So if he's going to stay on in his role, I would say I want him gone. If he's willing to step back and really take control of the team, I think there's a chance he could do something. But I want him gone. I would like to see what else is out there.
Yeah, I think it's just hard because if you bring him back, I think it's exactly as Frem said. Nothing really changes in the sense that every game like this, which I think there was like 6 like this year, but this is not new to this year. I just think of like 49ers in the divisional game a couple years ago. There's even other games we could probably point to. I just think like, hey, you've been there for 7 years. I think with a coach you can have baggage. I think even the Titans with Vrabel had baggage over time. To me, it's like I just don't think he can get us to a Super Bowl. And maybe it is like, maybe it does have to relinquish those play calling duties. I mean, think about it. Like he's during the game, not even watching the whole game. Which to me, like, is any other head coach doing that? I just don't see it. Like maybe they're going back to the bench to talk to a particular player during like a break or something, but you'll see it. The defense will be out there. He's not even watching the game. To me, like that just feels problematic. But it's like, man, like you get to this place where you're giving up these leads over and over, and you're making mistake after mistake in these kind of like focus situations, even. And granted, like we got unlucky with the kicker this year. Like McManus had a bad year. I mean, I think we can honestly say that. And yet, like, we didn't change. We didn't do anything that really changed it. And to me, like, this is, I think, the difference between like Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur. They didn't like their special teams on the Rams. They just fired the dude. And I'm not saying that's always the right decision, but I think like there's a loyalty to Matt LaFleur that's like he's maybe just taken a little bit too far. And also, you read all these things about the assistants and how much money they can pay them and that kind of thing. It just feels like, well, does he even have his hands tied? Can we actually bring in the coaches that he wants to? And so it's just an interesting dynamic. I say I would like him to be out just because even like I think Frem said for him and for the Pack, it's just like a fresh start for both. Because I actually think he could be a head coach in the NFL. I don't think he's a great head coach. And like Chris said, we could just hire a really good offensive coordinator with a CEO kind of coach, like a Harbaugh or something. And we would be just as good, if not better, maybe. And I'm not saying there's stretches in the game where we look unstoppable on offense, and that's credit to LaFleur. But I think we come to these points, especially, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, you're running out of the shotgun inside zone all season. And it hasn't worked all season, and you keep going back to it all season. I think it's just one of those weird things where I think it was first half we were under center over 50% of the snaps. Second half we're under center 6 out of 30 snaps. How does that happen when you have so much success in the first half? That doesn't make sense to me. And so I think I'm glad, I think for a lot of fans, like this is a knee-jerk reaction. I think we started talking about this mid-year.
Yeah.
Just like this is not new for us as a podcast because I think we saw some of these trends before this. It just like really blew up in this game.
I think we talked about this the last 2 years.
Yes.
At least last year. I don't know about 2 years, but at least last year.
Yeah.
Somewhat have blocked out the, was it 21 NFC Championship game against Tampa Bay. But as we were talking about this, like that just like hit me. And I'm like, gosh, what has changed with this dude? He's still that guy kicking the field goal. Not, that was Aaron Rodgers still, like we could say like in his prime there, like at the end of his prime. Like he's still that guy kicking the field goal in that situation. And he's still this guy like mismanaging situations. It's just like, has he grown? And, people are going to say like, well, Andy Reid should have never left the Eagles, and Philadelphia should have never let him go. But it's like, does Andy Reid become Andy Reid if he never goes to the Chiefs? And maybe he grew and he changed and he learned and he went to the Chiefs, and then like he did what he did there with that dynasty. So these things I think have to happen for a reason, and we can sit back and say his winning percentage, or if he goes on and does well somewhere else, we should have kept him. But I don't think he becomes the guy we need him to be in Green Bay. To what you're saying, Phil, that's where I'm at with this. I think there's something happening here where and the players are playing quite phenomenal. The fact that we had a chance, if Love can even throw that up at the end and make a jump ball, and somebody comes down. I mean, we didn't deserve to win. Neither team really deserved to win that game. The way they played overall, like you said, Chris, ton of credit to Chicago. I just want to plug. I did call in previous. It was a previous pod. I did call that Caleb and Ben were coming. This was going to be special. I didn't think they'd do this. They've exceeded any expectation I had for them. But yeah, it's tough because we have them in our division. Detroit's going to load back up. KOC is not going anywhere. We are in a really tough division, so we have to change something. Because I don't see us winning the division next year with LaFleur.
We might have the worst coach in the division.
It's a fair take. It's a very fair take. In terms of motivation and how we reach the players, I totally agree.
Yeah, I just feel like we need a coach. Like I always think of what Bill Belichick used to say, right? Just do your job. I think you need a coach that could come in and just expects people to do their job. Because we lose on the flukiest things, but at some point it's not a fluke. Like they are not prepared for those moments, and they're not held to a high enough expectation, whether it's in practice or film. I don't know what it is, but we continuously make these mistakes. We continuously have guys hurt. Like at some point it's not a fluke. And I just don't know if obviously LaFleur doesn't have much to do with the injury piece, but in terms of like players doing their job and executing, that is on the head coach. And if it continues to happen, that's a sign of coaching. So there are teams where this does not happen to. And those teams advance and move on in the playoffs and make the playoffs every year. We find a way to do something you've never expected to see year after year. So at some point you gotta cut ties.
It'll be interesting to see what they do. And I it's been a couple days now too. Like the report came out Sunday that they're going to meet. It's now Tuesday night. We've heard nothing. That's interesting to me because it's like, well, what is the conversation going on? Because obviously it's happening, and is it a contract extension kind of conversation, or is it a, hey, like, here's how you actually need to do things differently as a head coach? And is LaFleur going to do it? I mean, to me, that feels like more of what it is, probably. But it's hard to say.
Can I ask a question to the two of you? Like, let's say you had to pick between one of these. It's either don't extend LaFleur. Like, let's say they're keeping him. Do you think they have to extend him? I feel like they think they have to. I mean,
correct.
Why?
I don't think you have to. You could let him play on that last year of the contract. If it goes well, they're going to re-sign him.
Yeah.
I think he wouldn't want to leave.
I think
if it doesn't go well, it's a natural break.
I hear you. I think that's logical, Phil. I think the problem is it's a dead man walking situation. It's what Mike McCarthy walked into in Dallas. No one wants to be in that situation. I think the local take, I was just listening to, Tausch talking on local radio, and it's like, I think there's just this mindset of like, you have to extend him. You will extend him because, there's rumors that you're like committing to him for the future. And that if, you want confidence in your head coach moving forward, you need to assume, but then also in that same breath, Tausch is talking about like, if the season doesn't go the way you like, you just have dead money and you just get rid of it. So, I mean, there is that mentality of like, you extend him doesn't mean you have to actually keep him. So I think that's part of the conversation of like, we would just eat the cost of it, I think, at the end of the day.
The job talk does not go away, though. It doesn't matter if you extend him or not, because
Correct.
I don't think it actually changes anything. The perception maybe slightly, but there's been this is not a new conversation,
No.
I would say. It feels knee-jerk because of what happened and how it happened.
Exactly.
But if we lose to Chicago in a normal way, we may not even be having the conversation. I think it's how it's happened, this past game, but then all season, and then even games before this, right? So like, yeah.
Blessing in disguise, maybe. We may be thanking Chicago if he's not our coach. I mean, it's kind of crazy to say that, but if you even see any of the comments,
God's plan, Drake.
Bear fans want
No.
LaFleur around. They know that like Johnson's in his head, I think, at this point, and there's that whole like they get fired up over him. He's just kind of feeding into that too. If you even watch that dynamic, like he kind of started this whole handshake deal, and you just feel it now, like that. I don't know. It's a ton of energy.
I love the whole. I'm gonna say I love the whole Ben Johnson thing. I have no issue with it as a Packer fan. I think it's good, and it's.
I just hate that dude.
It's working though.
Yeah,
like
it is working.
Well, and that's the critique, I think, is that like, I don't know if it's little man syndrome by LaFleur, but like people can do this to him, and that he's not the guy who can just like end the fight. I don't know. There's a lack of maturity. We've talked about this before. Like some of these,
100%.
The 15-yard penalty he had. I don't know which last season, right?
Yep.
He's become just like just kind of unhinged at different points in time. Which I've loved the passion at times, but then you think about it, you're like, I don't know. This guy really? Is he even have the maturity or even just the character you want in the coach?
I like that take about maturity. I actually kind of agree with that. I don't know if he is mature enough to have this job.
Yeah. He's a good dude, but I don't really like watching his press conferences.
No.
I really don't. Like it kind of makes me uncomfortable even. Because it's like I don't think he's actually that he might be a good teacher. Obviously he's a good offensive mind. But I think when it comes to like his like public speaking, again, this is just perception though. It's like hard to actually know, but like he is not somebody I want to listen to. That's just how I feel. So
looking at Cignetti from Indiana, right? You don't want emotional leaders. Like, yes, you want them to show emotion, but at the end of the day, you want them to be composed and you want them to be like firm and know how to handle things and take care of things, right? And I think that's the tricky part is like, how do you express that emotion? And I think LaFleur is this emotional guy that, that he said it, the reporters get under his skin. It's like, do you really want a guy like that in charge? Yeah. The more we unpack this, the worse it gets for me. That's the hard part for LaFleur.
I know I feel worse than when this conversation started. Well, hey, let's turn positive then. That feels right. Again, all this is going to be really interesting in the coming days. I actually don't know what's going to happen. Part of me thinks they'll keep him. Part of me thinks they won't. I have no idea. Let's get to something positive then, because it really was like a fun season in a lot of ways for various points of the season, and like I could honestly say I think we're actually a really talented team. I almost said good, but I think we probably should take that away if we're 0-5 in our last 5 games. But we're obviously really talented. Who is your favorite player to watch this season?
Yeah, for me, it's a guy that I think we've been waiting to take hold of a position that we so desperately need, like a number one guy at, and that's Christian Watson. And so for not even playing the whole year, regular season here, 35 catches, 611 yards, 6 touchdowns in 10 games. I mean, this guy finally showed us that he can be a number one receiver. And I'm like, hallelujah. Like, we've been talking about this, and like he's been injured and you just never knew who he could be. And finally, I felt like, yeah, this is a guy right here. And now some people could debate, like, is he really just a really good number 2? I mean, I think he can be that guy. He's still young, still has a lot of potential in him. The speed, versatility. I mean, it's just the biggest thing is he's got to stay on the field. If this guy can stay healthy, I think, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Devontae Adams, but I wonder how good can he be with a full year with Love, both of them healthy, playing consistently together. He's special. And I think it's really awesome to see that come to fruition. We're talking about Dobbs. We're not going to sign him likely with the money he'll want. And so I think he's going to be the guy moving forward. And I'm really excited about that.
I will stay in a similar part of the field, and I'm going to go with Tucker Kraft. He only played 7-ish games, 7+ games, not quite 8, but was on track to have around 70 receptions and over 1,000 yards with about 14 touchdowns. he was a difference maker. I mean, he showed a lot of signs last year, but this year he was the guy. That game against, was it the Steelers, 9 catches, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. Washington, 7 catches, 124 yards and a touchdown. He's averaging 15 yards a catch. Like, he is a true difference maker at tight end. I don't know the last time the Packers had a tight end like that. Like, I want to say it was Jermichael Finley, even though he was kind of a bust in a way. But he can get open, one, and his yards after contact are really strong. Like, he's a guy that, if he comes back healthy, which I fully expect he will, he's just another guy to add to this rotation. And just a consistent tight end, someone that Love can get the ball to. So, played half a season, so it kind of feels like an out on this question of favorite player to watch, but holy cow. Those games that he played in, he was electric.
Yeah, man, he's baby Kittle. Like I think he's top 3, and he could be the best tight end he could even show that next year. It wouldn't shock me. It'll be like him and Bowers,
Correct.
like 1-2.
Yep.
For me, maybe this just feels like a a softball, but Micah Parsons was maybe one of the funnest players I've ever seen play football. You could tell he loves football. And you can tell he was happy to be in Green Bay. And man, that guy just was relentless. I don't think I've seen a player on Packers, defense be that way. Reggie White obviously was special, but we were younger. That was a guy I watched every time the defense was on the field, and I would just watch him. Like maybe in fantasy IDP you're doing that, but you're rarely doing that. Just watching a regular game. And it was just fun. He's special. It should be a good year next year. It'll be interesting to see what happens. We will try to do some off-season podcasts as they come up. But let's talk about the wild card matchups coming up here. Because there's just good games. It's just going to be good games. We have Rams at Bears, Texans at Patriots, Bills at Broncos, and then 49ers at Seahawks. Chris, just give us the story, or give us a preview of the Rams at the Bears.
Yeah, Rams at Bears. I would say that the biggest story in this game is going to be the weather. It's expected to be somewhere between 10 and 20 degrees. The Rams, I think I read somewhere online this week that the Rams haven't played in below 40-degree weather this year. I just wonder if that's going to matter, because if you line up talent, the Rams are the far superior team on both sides of the ball. They're way more healthy than the Bears are. They could theoretically exploit the Bears defense all game. Puka's always open. They have a really good running back combination, obviously with Kyron and Corum. Devontae's back. Unless the weather plays a huge factor, I think the Rams should control both sides of the ball. But here's the thing: the storyline is what the storyline is with the Bears every week. Is if they're in it in the fourth quarter, anything can happen. So I feel like the message from McVay this week is going to be get up and get up early, because I did notice. I noticed this in the Packer game. If the Bears wouldn't have come out of the third quarter playing well, I think it would have been over. So if you can kind of take the life out of the crowd on that team, I just don't think the Bears are healthy enough. Colson Loveland, though, holy cow, looked really good last week. So that could be the one sort of matchup that they could exploit against the Rams, because their linebackers aren't that great, especially in pass coverage. So if they can get Loveland the ball and get Williams some early completions and get them going, I think they can hang around. I just think the Rams are too good. And like I said, they're healthy. Their defensive line is good. Bears also lost their left tackle too, which is going to be a big concern against the Rams pass rush.
Oh no. You there, Phil?
This is the same segment we lost Phil.
Yeah, same segment. We just want to
point that out.
The segment where Phil goes silent.
He doesn't actually want to break down the games. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it's just avoiding.
So just to wrap that one up, Rams are 3.5-point favorites on the road. I think I would take the points with the Rams. I feel pretty confident in that. Let's go to Texans at Patriots. Patriots are currently a negative or 3-point favorite over Houston.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, if you watch that Monday night game, it's going to be a dogfight. I think this is going to come all down to the trenches. I talked about the Patriots game earlier. They have a really good defense. Houston has a really good defense. I would argue Houston has a better defense than even New England. New England easily has a better offense than Houston. Stroud is really tough to watch right now. So I think it's really going to be a question of, can Houston's defense make enough plays to stymie that Patriots offense and keep them in the game, keep it close, maybe get a defensive touchdown, things of that nature, make it close enough, low-scoring affair, and maybe you get a last-minute drive or something like that, and can hold them down. But it's really going to be interesting to see how this one develops. I don't expect a lot of points to be scored after watching both these teams play last week. And so, even New England, I thought they could get a run game going. I was just checking. So Will Campbell, the rookie tackle for the New England, won't line up across Will Anderson, I believe. But still, I just expect a ton of pressure to be on Drake May in this game. That Houston defense looks special. It's brutal. Nico Collins just went out with the concussions. So you're like, I have higher hopes for that Houston team because I feel like they could do something offensively. Even just seeing Christian Kirk go off on Monday night, like this team should be able to make a run to the AFC Championship game with that defense, the way they're playing right now. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is at the end of his career, but they totally obliterated anything the Steelers tried to do last night. And so I think it's going to be pretty fascinating to see how this goes because DeMeco Ryan has that team up and ready to play anyone right now. And they're easily, you could argue they're one of the hottest teams right now to try to play. So
it's kind of interesting. You talk about Nico Collins, most likely going to be out this week, but Christian Gonzalez also got hurt for the Patriots. So to me, it's like kind of a wash in a way.
Yep, for sure.
So yeah, I agree with you. It's probably going to be a low scoring game, but both teams playing really well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I still like New England. I feel like they're going to find a way. They're at home. Vrabel gets that team up and going. And I don't know. They're going to have to make a decision at quarterback there because Stroud just doesn't look like the guy. You talked about Davis Mills last time, and I'm like, sadly, I feel like he would perform better right now for them. And that's a rough take for them because I feel like CJ Stroud has the intangibles. He has the skill set, but he just can't seem to put it together on the field right now. Are you back, Phil?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You're back.
We
Here.
are back. We are back.
That was a great preview. Only heard snippet, but I like what I heard. I'm going to talk Bills at Broncos. I felt like I should take it because I live here in Denver. First matchup of the weekend. It's an afternoon Saturday game. Nice weather, 55 degrees. And it really just feels like Josh Allen versus the Broncos defense. That, to me, is the matchup here. We know that Josh Allen does play well in the playoffs. Contrary to maybe popular opinion, I still think if Dalton Kincaid catches that ball at the Chefs last season, we are talking about the Bills as Super Bowl champions last year. That, I think they would have, actually. You have the Broncos, who have a top 5 defense. This is not Legion of Boom. This is not Broncos 2014 defense where they're scoring touchdowns every game. But it is a very good defense, but it's been exploited. We've seen the Packers exploit it before Watson and Parsons get hurt. We saw the Jaguars put 35 on them in Denver maybe about a month ago. And the Broncos are inconsistent offensively. Bo Nix has shown flashes. They have a good running game. They miss J.K. Dobbins, which is weird to say, but they actually do miss him. And the Bills, they just went into Jacksonville and were the better team. Now you need some breaks, right? You have Trevor Lawrence tripping before trying to get the first down. You have Trevor Lawrence, throwing the final ball, gets tipped. It's really probably not a good throw. And it just seemed like the Bills, anytime they needed to make a play in that game, they did. And so it's going to be interesting because you have experience versus a pretty youthful team. but you can make an argument that the Broncos are the more complete team, especially defensively. A much better defense than the Bills overall. And yeah, it feels like the Bills like maybe showed a little bit of life on defense in that Jacksonville game. But again, they're at home and man, in Power Field, Mile High. I would say that's a top 3 home field advantage in the NFL. That is a hard place to win. It's a hard place to play. You're in the mountain air. Should be a good game. I'm just glad it's good weather because I actually think like that'll make the game a little bit more interesting for both teams. So it should be a good one, and I think it is kind of a toss up. I think in some ways. In fact, does anybody know the line offhand?
Yeah, Broncos actually were favored now by 1. The Bills were favored a couple yesterday.
Okay,
yeah. That changed.
Wow.
So it's really a coin flip.
Can I share another interesting storyline in this game?
Yeah.
The Bills wide receiver room. I don't know if either of you have followed this, but 2 weeks ago they had 6 wide receivers in their wide receiver room. They are now down to 3 healthy wide receivers. In the last 2 weeks, Josh Palmer went on IR, Gabe Davis tore his ACL, and Tyrell Shavers tore, I believe, also his ACL. The only receivers they have healthy on their roster currently are Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, who was benched at least 3 times this year, and Brandon Cooks, who was signed 6 weeks ago. So,
yeah,
if the Broncos can get pressure on them, like I don't know if Allen has rapport with all those guys. Yeah. He obviously does with Shakir, but
I think they go to their tight ends, right? You have Kincaid, Knox, and they have their other tight end. They have 3 tight ends they throw to, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's a good storyline. I'll just throw in there though. I didn't watch much of the Jags and Bills game, which I should have. It's such a good game, but I mean, just seeing how Jacksonville ran, on Buffalo box score wise, and how Etienne did on the ground. I mean, I know they don't have JK like you said, Phil, but I love that Whitewater / Broncos offensive line they have there, and I have to imagine they're going to be able to run the ball all over Buffalo. And so that's my thing of like, if they ball control, they keep Allen off the field. And then if they can put pressure on Allen when he's out there, and to Chris's point, if they don't have a good receiving core, I want Buffalo in the Super Bowl really badly. This Denver team, though, I think this is kind of the sub AFC Championship game. I think whoever wins this can go to the Super Bowl here. I think one of these teams is going to do it.
Well, in some way, the Broncos are Bears AFC because they've won tons of close games late, skin of their teeth. Yeah, it's a really interesting matchup. Chris, bring us home. 49ers at Seahawks.
Yeah, and I'm happy to take your guys' input on this because I'm going to make it short and sweet. I think we saw this matchup in Week 18. Since then, San Fran has lost George Kittle. I don't see anything different happening this weekend. The line agrees with that. Seahawks favored by 7.5 points currently. I think the Seahawks are completely healthy. Their defense is way too strong. I don't think the 49ers have enough horses on offense to hang. Well, they might be able to hang, but defensively, Seattle, I think they're going to roll. I think they're going to be healthy and they're going to roll on Sunday or whatever. It might be Saturday.
Part of me in my head said that Week 18 meant nothing. And maybe that's just because they went into Philly and beat them. And yet, we know these division games, they know each other really well. And I think you're right in the sense that, like, if Kittle was there, that actually changes a lot. Kittle not being there, it's just another thing this really good Seahawks defense does not have to worry about. But that was my feel because again, these division games are weird.
They are.
And I would not count out because I think Shanahan is a better coach than McDonald, but they might just be too depleted.
Trent Williams being back is huge, though. I mean, Purdy had no time in Week 18 when he went out. He's back. All of a sudden, Purdy has time. Your O-line is huge. We saw with the Packers. So I agree with you, Chris. I think Seattle's going to take the game. I don't agree. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you think. I think CMC is going to have like a monster game. I think they're just going to feed that man in the air, on the ground. Like, I think they're just going to drive him into the ground, using him in every way, shape, or form. You saw them throw out trick plays against Philly. I think they're gonna just throw out the kitchen sink in this game because I think they're gonna have to on the road. So I think it's gonna be a lot more fun to watch. But yeah, I can't see
Yeah,
Seattle losing at home.
I hope so. I just know, like, we saw the Texans defense and the Patriots defense. Seattle's defense is better than both those teams, which I don't know if people know that because they play on the West Coast or watch them enough, but their defense flies around the field. Yeah, I don't know if San Fran has enough horses to hang with them. I mean, it's going to come down to Darnold, though. Let's be honest. Darnold has to play. He just can't turn the ball over. Darnold doesn't turn the ball over, Seattle will win the game. If he does, put San Fran in good field position, maybe they got a shot.
Gosh, we got to stop this small talk. Yeah, that brings us to our next ad. The small talk escape plan is for conversations that never should have happened. You didn't start it. You didn't encourage it, but now you're stuck. The app gives you believable exits like, I should get going. Or, I just remembered something, which is vague enough to be true. There's even a fake phone vibration for emergencies that aren't emergencies. The problem is, once you use it, you start noticing when other people use it on you. Kind of a, Jekyll Hyde situation there. That's not the right way to say it. But someone checks their phone mid-sentence and suddenly you're thinking, oh, so I'm the problem. Now you're offended, not because they left, but because they left smoothly. Small talk escape plan, because leaving shouldn't require a reason. Let's get to our predictions of the wild card weekend. We tipped our hand a little bit, guys. We got to get better. We're better than that, I think, honestly. Let's get to the predictions. Last week, Fred and C. Smith, you both went 3-3. Am I correct?
Sounds pretty good to me.
Horrible. Yeah, I think that's right.
At least you weren't 2-4. It could be worse. Could be worse. Man, I was really feeling the Chargers. Just was. Obviously not. Is Herbert good, by the way?
I've said it here before. Chris messaged me about it. I don't think he is that good. I think he's kind of in this land of where like Tua is. Maybe somebody could redevelop him, kind of like a Darnold. But in the current situation he is, in the current state he's in, I think he's very mid, as the kids would say.
Yeah, I think he's just like a regular season QB, right? He's just not a clutch quarterback.
If I was the Vikings, I would offer 2 firsts to the Chargers and a second,
and give him McCarthy.
KOC would make him better for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. He just probably needs to get out of there. I mean, which is weird to say with Harbaugh, but all right. So 3-3, 2-4. Let's go game by game here. Rams at Bears. Is anybody picking the Bears?
I'm gonna pick the Bears.
You're picking the Bears. Go for it. Why?
Yeah, I really want to pick the Rams. I want the Rams to win. Let's just say that on paper. Stafford's played in Chicago. I'm not worried about the weather as much. Like Chris said, I think they're going to figure out how to play. Their Devontae, coming from Green Bay, I think they have different players, that played in environments like this. So they're going to come to play. I just think Chicago has something going. They have a mojo. They're getting up to play. I don't think they're going to get behind like they did with the Pack. The other part to look at this is Carolina should have and almost did beat the Rams. If you see that last drive, terrible defense on Carolina. They just gave like all the Rams receivers, 10 yards of cushion down the field. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what their scheme was. They didn't put enough pressure on Stafford, etc. I think the Bears are going to know what to do to make Stafford uncomfortable enough, keep this game close, and I think they're going to find a way to win in the end. The Rams secondary does not seem solid enough. The Bears have everyone healthy here. They have Adunze, they have Moore, they have Burden, they have Loveland. They have a lot of guys to get the ball to. Their run game is very strong still. I don't know why the Bears can't put up a lot of points. I expect there to be a decent amount of points this game, 30 plus maybe each team here. But I think the Bears are going to get it done at home.
Chris, how many points do you think the Rams score?
31.
I'm going to go 41. I think they get 5 touchdowns, 2 field goals. I could see them not punting the whole game. It would not surprise me. Maybe until like the fourth quarter when the Bears make a last stand, because they always do. Okay, interesting. Second game, Texans at Pats. Anybody taking the Texans? That's a no. We're all
Can't do
taking
it.
the Patriots.
I want to. Part of me
Okay.
wants to. Their defense looks really good, but Stroud, no way.
Yeah, the Patriots defense was impressive. That was impressive.
Very good.
And I think they'll play better offensively. So I'll go Patriots. Bills at Broncos. Chris, let's start with you.
Broncos.
Okay, Bram?
Broncos, no doubt.
I'm also going to go Broncos.
We're
I don't
doing
know
it again.
why.
We did this last week. Shoot.
I just have a feeling. I actually think Bo Nix is being overlooked in the game. I really believe that, actually. Like, in a weird way, like, the Broncos and the Seahawks are the most disrespected one seeds we've maybe seen in the playoffs in a while. That's interesting. Didn't expect that.
Going back to what I said, I just don't know if Buffalo is going to be able to throw the ball that well. The Broncos secondary is so good, and they're already limited on receivers. They're going to have to run the ball well, and the Broncos are one of the best teams against the run. So it's going to have to be a vintage Josh Allen game if they're going to win.
Which is possible, if we're honest.
He did it last week.
We know that's possible. And then 49ers at Seahawks. Is anybody taking the 49ers? All right. We're all Seahawks? By how much, Chris? They beat the spread? 7.5.
No. I think 7. I'd put it at 7. But 7.5 is a lot.
What about you, Fran?
Yeah, so I'm with Chris. Yeah, 7.5 I think it's a lot. I think they can make it a touchdown game. I think they can keep it close.
I'm going to say they win by 10. I actually think they'll play better offensively than they did the last game. Guys, that was more of a consensus than we really wanted here, which, the groupthink is strong and our records weren't great last week. So it'll be interesting. Awesome. Based on these new teams what's your new Super Bowl prediction? Bram, we'll start with you.
Well, I had Denver originally, and as much as I'd love to propel, Buffalo after they won, and maybe mix it up, what Chris shared about the receiving core, already picking Denver here, I just, like you said, I think disrespected one seeds. I think that's a theme here. I had Philly, they're out. I had toyed with having Seattle in the Super Bowl before. I think it's just a safe bet to put them in the Super Bowl. I think matchups are going to be everything here. I think if LA played Seattle, I could actually see LA winning. But I'm picking Chicago, so I think Seattle beats Chicago. I'm going to go Seattle, Denver, chalk 2-1 seeds, Super Bowl.
And so I had the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I'm sticking with that. Feel good about it. NFC, I had the Eagles. I was way wrong on the Eagles. I'm going to go with your disrespected one seed and take Seattle. I think they somewhat have a bye this week. I mean, the biggest spread. And they'll be home next week, presumably against the Rams. But if it's against the Bears, I don't know if the Bears can go in there and win. I highly doubt it. So, and I'll because I had the Pats in earlier, I'll say the Pats get the job done.
I had Jacksonville. Yeah, pick the winner.
Oh, I think I had Denver win. I'm gonna stick with Denver. I like Denver winning. Sean Payton.
I had Rams versus Jaguars. That did not work out.
Should get out now while you're.
I believe too much in Liam Cohen. Love that guy. Okay, I'll stick with the Rams, and I'm gonna go Denver. I think they'll win this week, and then I think they'll beat the Patriots next week. And I just think the Drake May against that defense in Denver, that I think is the difference. You could make an argument both defenses are very good, but I actually think that's the difference for me.
Yeah, the Drake did not look good last week. So if he plays like that again, they're not going very far. He has to play better.
And then I think the Rams win. They look the most complete to me still. The Panthers gives me pause, but the Panthers at home, man, they have weird voodoo magic there. So
The
I'm not as
Panthers,
concerned. I'm not as concerned because I think they probably overlooked it slightly. Slightly.
the Panthers give you pause. Great dad joke.
Man, I have so many children I didn't even realize I made that joke. You know. Finish the sentence. John Harbaugh is the coach of blank.
Atlanta. Chris?
The Giants.
Giants.
I'm gonna go your Green Bay Packers, and I'm just gonna pray. I'm gonna pray. The thing is, I think if LaFleur leaves, I think Harbaugh joins us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter, does LaFleur leave?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say it's been long enough where I'm starting to question.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, it's been 2 days. I thought, what was it, Monday morning, there was that report from Schefter that's like, oh, they're still going to get a deal done. Crickets since then.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, they're just not really working that efficiently as an organization to try to figure out a decision. And that really matters, I think, in all aspects of life. Fred, can you describe to us this new company that we're sponsoring today?
Read It Later Guilt is for people who save articles with the full intention of becoming better versions of themselves later. You don't read them, nobody reads them, but saving them feels productive. And I've done this. You save an article called How to Be More Efficient, then immediately scroll past it for 6 months. The app doesn't judge. It just quietly reminds you that you meant well. There's even a feature that deletes articles after a year and says, relax. You got the point. And here's the thing. When it deletes them, you get annoyed because now you're thinking, I was going to read that. You weren't. But now it feels like the app made the decision for you and suddenly you're offended. That article wasn't trash. It was potential. Read It Later Guilt. You don't read it, but you respected it. Felt that one. Felt that a little bit.
Oh, no. Oh,
Phil,
no.
Come on, Phil. Don't lose us now. Come back.
Phil, we're going to give you 2 minutes to get back on here to close this thing out. We're going to ad-lib this thing. It's kind of funny reading this, just because I feel like we all go through this in certain points of our lives.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Wow.
Can you hear me, Major Tom?
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
He's back again.
Thank you so much for listening. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio. That's where most people listen to us. It's not true. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, but there's no video. Has that been fixed?
There's no video.
What's even the point of being on YouTube, though? I mean, honestly. But thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the NFL weekend. As always, go Pack Go. If you didn't get a chance to watch the Wisconsin college basketball game tonight or see any of the highlights, watch it. Pretty cool ending. We will see you guys next time. This is the Man Sports Fan Podcast.